Hello everyone, this is Congrats here. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This video is in response to a previous YouTube short that I made the other day regarding the new NHL collective bargaining agreement that just got extended for 4 years. And I know that in that video, it basically gave my reaction to at least the biggest factor that's being included through that new CBA, and that being the regular season. I know that it was very short, and I wanted to make a full video regarding my total reactions to the new CBA and just to really kind of elaborate on my thoughts from that short clip and explain why I sort of saw things in a particular way. So I hope this video is informative. I'm going to try and elaborate on my points made in that video and try to also talk about the other factors of the CBA that I will admit I actually do like, and I'm interested to see how they get implemented. Starting with the 84 game regular season, I didn't like it because I just feel that the more games you add, the more sort of meaningless games you're going to get at the end of the season, and the more you postpone the playoffs. For hockey, especially in a sport that is really kind of down there with regards to popularity in, like, let's say the United States or whatnot, the playoffs are really where, like, the NHL gets its respect and luster, and that if it wants to generate more attention, it should probably get the playoffs to happen sooner. What the NHL should be trying to do instead is, I would say, shorten the regular season. Perhaps I would prefer if they altered the playoff format into a way that perhaps provides a little bit more like respect for the upper teams in the league who finish very high in the standings, and basically be like, okay, you guys are going to be playing the 8th seed, like the 1 versus 8 playoff format. I prefer that, in my opinion, just because it actually provides respect for actually finishing high up in the standings. By adding 2 more games, you probably are going to be creating more meaningless games at the end of the season, unless if it's like an actual like matchup for like a wild card at the end of the season. But how likely are we really going to get that? I mean, we did get it this year, but that was sort of like the first time it's happened in a while, so I don't really expect this to kind of be a common occurrence, especially with the extended regular season. If anything, I see this as more of a money grab by the NHL to get a couple more $1 million in the books for the pockets of the owners and for the league and its revenue. And it just seems unnecessary. It just, in my opinion, I don't like the 84 games. I just would have liked to see it if they either changed the playoff format and focused on that, or if anything, cut down on the regular season so that way we don't have the risk of, let's say, a player perhaps getting injured, like we saw this year with Dallas and Jason Robertson getting hurt in the final game of the regular season. Okay, next up, the contract talks. The biggest thing with the CBA as well is that contract extensions now have been reduced by a year. So starting in 2026, if you're a free agent, the biggest contract you can get will be 6 years with regards to term. And when it comes to contract extensions, the max you can get is 7, which is quite a lot because, so much can change within a year, right? A player can have a brilliant year one time, and then the next season they basically completely flounder and are nowhere near their value. We are starting to see a trend right now where a lot of the guys who are eligible for contract extensions right now, they want to get those 8 years because they know that next season that's not going to happen. So for any RFAs or even potential UFAs, they want the contract now before free agency happens. So that's like why, for example, we have the whole potential sign and trade involving Mitch Marner with the Leafs and the Golden Knights. 7 years is, in my opinion, probably okay for a contract extension. It is pretty long, but considering that does take up a huge chunk of a player's career, maybe this is also part of a trend where the NHL is trying to support the players in getting as much wealth as possible, and that maybe this will incline players to take either shorter deals over time in order to support themselves, and that way they can get more contracts and maybe more lucrative money. Or maybe the NHL has done this so that way we can get a little more entertainment on the free agent market. I'm not sure. Most free agencies right now, we've had sort of a diluted pool of talent, and most of the star guys are essentially kind of out of the picture here. And maybe this is the NHL trying to maybe generate more buzz when it comes to free agency or maybe even trade talk as well. Okay, next we have the playoff cap. It's still not entirely clear as to how this is going to go, but we do know that the NHL is going to implement some form of salary cap for the postseason. And this is obviously to close up the LTIR loophole that a lot of people have been complaining about for the last 5 years or so, where basically you can throw a player on LTIR and all of the money that would be part of their cap hits under the salary cap, it basically gets added on to your existing cap max. And as a result, you could basically exceed the salary cap in order for you to reinforce your roster. And this has been a problem for the last few years because you've had star players making a lot of money going on LTIR, and the teams that are usually contenders then go out of the trade deadline, get a bunch of guys who are basically making a lot of money as well. And when the postseason begins, the team gets back their player that was on LTIR, and now they're well over the cap. So with a salary cap for the playoffs, it will force teams to be cap compliant for the duration of the season, and it should make things more interesting regarding how the postseason goes. Because if you do lose someone who is injured, it does make you wonder, like, how is the team going to basically replace that player for the time being? And I kind of wonder exactly, like, if it is a star player, are those players just going to go on injured reserve or like an LTIR, and then therefore the team can bring back other guys? That's still kind of left to be determined, but I'm very interested to see how the NHL decides to implement that. So now some smaller rules, so to speak, that the NHL has also included in this new CBA. Number one is that there is no longer going to be a dress code for players in pregame or postgame. I think this is sort of a really important thing we have to cover, because I know it's minor in detail, but it may be a way for the NHL to maybe improve its public relations and to generate more attention. So this probably further aligns itself with, like, let's say the NFL or the NBA, where basically a player can wear wherever they want. I think this is important because maybe this is a way of the NHL trying to incentivize its players to basically show off their personality, show off what they're interested in order to maybe help generate more buzz on social media, to try and get more younger fans to become, let's say, resonate with their star players, right? And I know that the NBA and the NFL do this to a significant degree. You've got some sort of flamboyancy with their outfits that some NBA or NFL players wear, and it does generate some attention from, like, the media and from social media. So I would probably expect that the NHL did this in order to maybe catch up on the social media side of things when it comes to the world of sports, and hope that they can just generate some more attention in indirect ways away from the athletic side of the sport. Last but not least, with regards to contracts, we also have a prohibition of deferred salaries. So this is basically an extension to the whole contract situation now that will be implemented for 2026 onwards, where basically deferred contracts are not possible. A deferred contract is where a certain amount of the salary basically is avoided until basically after the contract is done. And this is done in a way in order to reduce the cap hit on the contract during its duration, so that way the team can basically save a certain amount of money in order for it to sign other players. The money that is deferred basically will then be paid out at the conclusion of the contract for a certain amount of time, whether that be 1 year or a number of years down the road. And we have seen this happen a lot more in sports. In baseball, we're seeing this a lot more with deferred contracts basically taking hold with big organizations like the LA Dodgers. The NHL has started to see a bit of this. Most notably, I think Seth Jarvis's contract with the Hurricanes, that has a lot of deferred money, and that allowed the Canes to reduce the cap hit significantly. John Tavares' new contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think that there's at least $2 million that's deferred there, and that money isn't going to get paid until the 2030s. I think the NHL is doing this so that way they can also eliminate any other potential loopholes that are available in order to make sure that we have an equal playing field for all contracts at the NHL level. That's my thoughts. I hope that this is informative and that maybe this provides a better explanation for what I was trying to explain in that small short. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this one. And I will see you all in my next video.